The reason why 160 million Shias believe in this idea of a hidden, infallible Imam, divinely appointed, that was born and then went into occultation, which is a fancy way of saying hidden and inaccessible. For 1,200 years, there's this crazy backstory to it. We take it for granted, right? And the average modern Shi'i today accepts it wholeheartedly, has absolute faith in it. But back then, it was a matter of like extreme confusion. You had people, a lot of people just like leaving Shiism because this idea just seemed so strange. In any case, it's a mixture of two things really. One has to do with like a war between these tax collectors, and another one is a personal inheritance issue. By the way, all the information I'm providing you, it's not like my personal research. This is all based on a Shiite scholar named Hussein Mudarrisi. He's a professor at the University of Princeton. He's written this really good book called Crisis and Consolidation, and yeah, he spends a good chunk of it just explaining the situation and what led to this, like, I'm not gonna say coincidence, but what led to this situation, right? That caused all these people to accept the existence of someone who doesn't exist. Now it sounds conspiratorial, but by the way, the conspiracy is what they believe, to be honest. And then here's how it goes. Okay, so you have these khums collectors. Khums collectors like a tax collector, right? And these khums collectors, they would collect tax for whoever they believed the imam was at the time. Remember, the imam is like the divinely appointed guide. So you had the 11th Shi'i imam. His name is Al-Hassan Al-Askari. Al-Hassan bin Ali Al-Askari. He had his own khums collectors. And at one point, he even had, there was even like this dispute between his khums collectors. I'm not sure exactly how that dispute occurred, and it seems like there's some vagueness in regards to like what the classical Shi'i works mention. But basically, one of them was called Faris bin Hatim al-Qazwini, and Faris bin Hatim um, seems to have, wallahu alam, seems to have been siding towards al-Askari's brother, okay, who some other Shias saw as the Imam. So, yeah, we're not sure exactly what happened. Perhaps he was planning to collect the taxes for his brother or something like that. In any case, long story short, Faris bin Hatim al-Qazwini is actually killed. The tax collector is killed. And when the tax collector is killed, by the way, this is authentic according to Shi'i standards. You'll find this in Kafi. Al-Hassan Askari is paying, he's sending payments to the killer, right? So he's like actually involved in the killing of the tax collector that he had appointed, right? In any case, so you have a group of people that are now following his brother, collecting taxes for his brother, Muhammad ibn Ali, and then you have another group of Shias that are collecting money for Ja'far ibn Ali, his other brother. So you got three brothers, and you have all these people running around collecting tax for each of them, okay? And they're all allegedly divinely appointed imams. So there's like this massive confusion occurring. Now Muhammad bin Ali, I believe he's the eldest. Um, his claim to imam. By the way, I'm not saying he ever claimed to be an imam. God knows if any of them claim to be an imam. All we know is that we have all these tax collectors collecting money, perhaps just collecting money for themselves. God knows. In any case, that idea doesn't really float around for too much. However, the idea that Ja'far bin Ali is an imam, that had some weight at a specific time. So Faris bin Hatim al-Qazwini, the agent that was killed, the tax collector that was killed, his sister starts siding with Ja'far bin Ali. And you have this, like, this war among tax collectors where people are literally being killed, akhi. And one of them, his name is Nafis. They even like attribute a sect to him in Nafisiyya, and he was someone that called to Muhammad bin Ali, and then he switched over to Ja'far bin Ali, and then his body is found in a pond drowned. So like you have literally people being killed over who the rightful imam is. And you got these war between these tax collectors. Okay.
Wow.
So this would be happening like around the year 250 after Hijrah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So like the early muhaddithin are around, you know, and Bukhari,
Yeah.
Muslim,
Yeah.
they're all alive at this
Wow.
specific time. But this is like really, this is like in a different world. Like this stuff is going on. It's a completely different world. So what happens is the tax collector, the tax collectors now that were collecting tax for Al-Hasan Askari, the 11th Shi'i Imam, they're in a bit of predicament because Al-Hasan bin Ali passes away. That's an issue. The person that they're collecting tax for passes away. What are we gonna do now? Who are we gonna collect tax for? By the way, keep in mind that there's this huge chance that they're actually taking the money in for themselves, right? So what they do is they have two choices. Well, actually three choices. One is to say, oh, he never passed away. Okay. Or they could say, yeah, actually, the imamah has shifted over to his brother, Ja'far, and now we're going to collect tax for him. That's not going to fly because you're just killing those people.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
getting towards the, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
And the third is to claim they had a hidden son.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm just going to like share a few thoughts on those. The first thought was that he had not passed away. Now, even though this view seems really strange, this actually occurred multiple times in the past. When Ali bin Abi Talib passed away, you had Shias saying, oh, he never died. When his son Muhammad bin Hanafiya passed away, you had Shias saying, oh, he never died. He's an occultation, he's going to come back. When Ja'far al-Sadiq passed away, the same thing. Oh, he never died, he's going to come back. When Musa al-Kadhim passed away, the 7th Shia Imam, you had a group of people saying, oh, he never passed away, he's going to come back. So this idea was actually brought up multiple times in Shia history. It's not like a one-off thing. This idea of, oh, he's the Mahdi, he's disappeared, he's going to come back later in the future, he never really died. That has been repeated so many times. So it's just going to be another one of those. So what they opted for was this other explanation, which is, oh, he's got a baby, and the baby is hidden. Okay? Now, as strange as that sounds, there's a coincidence that occurred that allowed them to push for this argument. Okay? And this has to do with an inheritance issue. So what happens next is Al-Hasan Askari, remember the 11th Imam, he has no kid. There's no kid whatsoever. And there's no proof of this kid ever existing. The only people that ever claim that there's a kid are these taxpayers. If you're going to do authentic isnad analysis, it's only taxpayers. I mean, not taxpayers, the tax collectors, sorry. The tax collectors are the only people claiming there's a kid. Hey, I want some money for the hidden imam. You know, no one can see him except for me. But just trust me, bro, kind of thing. So what happened was when Al-Hasan Askari passed away, he had written in his will that like the inheritor of like a third of his estate goes to his mom. Her name is Hudayth. So she gets word that the brother, remember Ja'far bin Ali, also wants a piece of the estate, and according to law, he is supposed to receive like a sixth or something like that. Or actually, I think maybe even more. Excuse me, more than a sixth. So what she did was she went to meet the Caliph. They all went to meet the Caliph, and they had this huge financial dispute. And she said, according to inheritance law, if Al-Hasan Askari has a son, the brother doesn't get anything. Remember, there was an issue with the brother, and then you have these taxpayers going back and forth and fighting and whatever, and it's very likely that Hasan Askari and his brother Ja'far bin Ali hated each other, never got along. I'm not sure if Hudayth was the mother of Hasan Askari alone and not the mother of Ja'far. I'm not sure about that. I need to look it up. I'll perhaps include it in the comments or something if that is the case. However, in any case, the mother takes this whole thing to court, and she says, by the way, he does have a son, and therefore Ja'far shouldn't inherit anything. Can you imagine that? So what Hudayth does, what they do, what the Caliph does, or the governor or whatever, is that they seize the the servant that was Hassan Askari's servant or slave, they seize her and they lock her up just to check if there's, if she's actually pregnant or not. She's locked up, I don't know, for 2 years, maybe even more. And then they were certain that there was like no baby or anything like that. And like Ibn Hazm, this is a strange one, like a side note that Ibn Hazm includes, that this financial dispute took 7 years to end. A very random like piece of information to be found in a Sunni source, I know. But long story short, by doing that, by claiming that there is a son, the brother Ja'far bin Ali is secluded from the inheritance, and it's just split between the mother and this alleged son that never really existed. So Hussein Mudablisi, Shia scholar, is arguing this in his book Crisis and Consolidation. That's the origin of this idea of the baby that's hidden, that no one has seen and no one's come across, and he's the Mahdi. And by the way, one more really fascinating thing that I should not overlook, or no one should overlook, is that you have a copy. This is actually a copycat of something that occurred earlier in history.
Okay.
This has actually happened before.
Wow.
Ja'far al-Sadiq, the sixth Shi'i Imam, his son, his name is called Abdullah. At one point, Abdullah was the most popular Shi'i candidate for Imamah. It's not Musa. Shi'is today, they all follow Musa. At the time, Abdullah al-Aftah was the most popular. When he passed away, he didn't have a kid. So his followers, they claimed he had a kid. And his name was Muhammad bin Abdullah. And he's someone that never existed. They actually created a son. And they said, oh, he went to Yemen. Oh, he went to Khurasan. Oh, no one has access to him. This is what he's the Mahdi. And by the way, it actually lines up pretty nice with the Sunni hadith, because like the Sunni hadith that predates all of this is a famous hadith in Sunan Abi Dawud, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, the Mahdi's name is like my name, his father's name is like my father's name. So Muhammad bin Abdullah.
Yeah.
So that lined up really well. And that idea may have took off for a while. It didn't really last too long. This second idea of that Hassan Askari having a son, thus the 12th Imam, that idea struggled actually for quite a bit. And you have like the early Shi'i scholars like Nu'mani saying barely anyone believes this. Imagine this is like in the early 300s. He says that barely anyone believes this anymore. But like he's arguing for it. He's trying to convince the Shias of it. It's like compare it to today. Today, like there's certainty by the Shi'i community that this is just a fact. Back then, they were, the Shi'is were like just leaving Shi'ism. They were becoming Zaydis.
Okay.
They were, when that occurred, imagine this: when Hassan Askari passed away, there were 13 or 14 Shi'i groups that emerged because of confusion.
SubhanAllah. And that was the solution, make up this
kid.
Wow.
Make up this kid and claim that he exists. And by the way, again, no one has seen him except for the tax collectors.
And he's still alive
He's still alive, man. The lie has fooled 160 million people, unfortunately.
SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Any questions, bro?
Yeah, how many, cause I don't know much about Shi'ism. How many your regular standard Shias know this?
No one.
Really?
Nobody knows this, man. Hussein Mudablisi, he patched this up together. He patched this information up together through quoting classical Shi'i texts. But you gotta patch this stuff up together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all this stuff. Everything I've mentioned today is very easy to argue for.
Yeah.
It's not like this isn't like the meme with the conspiracy guy with the lines and what.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's not like that. It's quite direct. Alhamdulillah, subhanallah. And we want people to wake up. We want people to stop believing in someone who doesn't exist.